Welcome to the Oracle Codex Podcast. In this podcast, we are unfolding the divine mysteries and remembrances of the Oracle. What is her story? What was lost that we are now reclaiming? And what is her medicine? Let's unwind and reweave our sacred history. I'm your host, Grace, and I'll be holding space during our journey together. Love you so much, and let's dive in. Alrighty, so
I'm excited.
thank you so much already. Amron's like, just record. Let's just get into the vibes and roll. So, yeah, I was just telling Amron my intention with this podcast, this space. It's meant to be a temple. It's meant to be a beautiful space where women can come and learn from other women and feel and hear their stories and feel the codings and help themselves unfold even deeper. And we all just have such beautiful sacred codings that we're meant to, share with one another. So that's my intention. And I have the beautiful Amron Bevels with me. Thank you so much for being here, sister.
Yes, sister, I am so honored to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited. What
Oh,
I'm already feeling, I'm just going to jump in with why I'm so excited.
do it.
I'm already feeling the presence of all of the women who are ever going to listen to this across time. I'm feeling it, and it's really vast and bright. Yeah. And so I'm just connecting. I feel the cord connecting with our hearts, all of us. So it's really beautiful. This is powerful work. Your mission is spot on, like with your desires, and you're doing a beautiful job already. And so I'm just excited for what you're doing here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I was so excited that you said yes, because I reached out to a couple people, but I know that, people get DMs and it kind of gets lost. But you were like, oh my gosh, I missed this, but I need to do this. And yeah, you were so, so lovely. I want to introduce you and your beautiful weavings, your beautiful work. So, Amron is a medicine woman. She is someone who works with the archetype of woman, and you hold such beautiful space for the women to. I love on your website, you share that you are a guide and kind of like a helping hand as they remember themselves. And that's such a beautiful way to put it because there's no ego in it. We're not here to say, oh, I'm going to heal you myself or anything like that. It's so beautiful and clear and sacred the way that you present yourself in your work. So, yeah, I would love for you to kind of introduce your weavings. And then as we get into it, I want to hear your story if you're comfortable. I want to hear, yeah, there's so much for us to discuss here, but maybe just lightly introduce, what your being is in this space.
Sure. I think for me, my question will help guide the conversation and what wants to come through me. What do you want your women, your listeners, your audience to walk away with? Or how do you want them to feel when they get it?
I want them to feel deepened, and I want them to feel this depth. It almost feels like dropping straight into the womb, straight into this nexus and this connectivity of we're not alone, and we we're so interconnected, right? Through the one, through the cosmic mother. And I just want them to feel that sacred unfolding, hear that, and just remember their truest self.
Hmm. Okay. When we feel connection, we feel like we belong. And when we feel like we belong, we feel safe, we feel valid, we feel valued. And that brings up our courage to step forward and shine our gifts and to actually share our wares with one another. knowing that we are whole, we are good enough, we are complete enough, we are worthy enough to
Mhm.
share, to give, to contribute, to participate. Even better word, participate.
Mhm.
And I really feel like this time in the collective is asking for us to choose. Are we going to participate or are we not going to participate? Lots is going on in current events right now, and it's in our faces.
Mhm.
I guess lots has been going on in current events always, and it hasn't been in our faces. And now it is, and we are being asked to choose, to state our preferences and to stand in our preferences. So, in
Mhm.
order to do that, we have to feel strong enough to do it. We have to feel courageous enough to do it. We have to feel worthy enough of being here, like we have a place here to actually cast our vote with our preference. So, yeah, safety is at its core and connection is at its core.
Maybe you feel you've noticed this too, but women are kind of leading this spiritual charge in some ways. I'm noticing, like
Mhm.
in my friendships and even in, relationships, there's kind of like this, I don't know if females are receiving the codings first and then helping their male friends and counterparts to activate this within them, but it's like, yeah, we are kind of leading the charge in a way, and it's so sacred and beautiful. So, um yeah, so can I ask,
Yeah.
what is your medicine? Like, what do you work with? What's your spice and your magic when you do this
Mm.
healing?
I'd say my call to action right now is to amplify the archetype of woman.
Mm,
And to do that, what that means for me is elucidating and elaborating on what it means to be woman,
mhm,
bringing us back our own codes of identity, of our utility and our function. Like, how do we work? How do I operate this thing? And it's bringing us back to our spiritual anatomy,
mm,
understanding our intuition and our intuitive physiology, you know, like what's the crown chakra for? Tell me about the throat. Talk to me about the womb, the sacral. What is it, right?
mhm,
How do I use it? So that we can become dexterous at utilizing our craft, whatever that is for our unique, like you say, flavor spice. I love that. But we are being asked to lead, or we are being given the opportunity to step forward from what I call the back seat of our own bus. We've been
mhm,
letting others drive, be it men, the patriarchy, religion, our parents, whatever it is, right? Or all of the above, to take the pilot seat. You know, this is our bus, it's our vehicle, this is our life, right? And it's our karma and it's our psychic loops and our history and all that stuff, our lineage. And we get to take up the helm of our sovereignty and our self responsibility and choose. Again, it's about preference. What are we putting up with? What do we need? What do we want?
mhm,
And I think that for a lot of us now in this life, I'll just speak for this life. For me, it began with me suppressing my needs and apologizing for my desires, thinking that they were extra or an inconvenience. I remember this in my partnership and marriage, particularly. I was sorry that I wanted so much physical attention. I was sorry that I wanted intimacy in terms of eye gazing and emotional connection. I wanted to lock in with my person. Instead of claiming it and like really honoring that and being like, hey, this is what's required for me to feel completeness in this relationship. This is what's required for me to feel fueled up as a mother, to live my day, to do the work you want me to do as a wife. This is what I need to feel. Uh, what's the word that I want to use? Requited, right?
mhm,
Like there's an exchange here in our love, in our partnership, so that I can continue to show up and be the best friend, advisor, consultant, confidant, lover, all the things you want me to be in this partnership. But instead of me acknowledging that and just stating it as fact, this is what's needed, this is what's required, this is what my vessel requires, I would apologize for it, and it would become burdensome for the partner.
Mhm.
How many of us are hiding in that way aspects of our needs behind, oh, shame, guilt, unworthiness, right? That's just one tiny facet. I mean, I'm talking about love, relationship, and honoring that aspect of our identity in, romantic partnership. But take it to any other level. I immediately am brought to religion and how the woman's role has been taught to us in a very certain subordinate kind of a way, where we are considered a second class citizen.
Mhm.
We are told that a good woman is a pious woman, and a pious woman is a subordinate woman, and that there is a middle person between us and source, and that it's masculine. It's just, we've got a
Mhm.
lot of things muddying our clarity. And so my role right now is really to bring our clarity in,
Mhm.
because once we know who we are, right? Once we know what we're here for, once we know our role, it's over. It's game over.
We're in it.
Yeah, we would have no war. All mouths would get fed. When a woman's in charge, there is no, division of resources. There
Mhm.
is no division of, there's no sides taking. Like we're able to see above the Maya and the minutia of the conflict in the moment. We're able to see the humanity and the divinity above that. That's our natural set point.
Mhm.
We are able to see in a 360-degree purview. Like, ask any mother what she's thinking or doing at any given moment, and it's at least 4 or 5 things.
Mhm.
I'm aware of what I'm going to be preparing for dinner tonight. I'm aware of what time of the day it is and where my kid is likely to be in school. I'm aware of the fact that my mom is hurting right now. I'm aware of the fact that my girlfriend, is needing and waiting for me to call her. I'm also working a job, running a business, talking to a client, right? Tapping into my own body's needs. This is our nature. This is our innate anatomy. And we get to claim it and work it and not try and hone it in and feel bad that as a practitioner, I'm able to talk about money, sex, relationship, right? Empowerment, intuition, psychic development. I'm able to do all of those things because I'm able to do all of those things. If I were in a man's body, yes, it would behoove me and serve me best to minimize.
Mhm.
Why? So I can hunt and stay really, really laser focused on the things I'm supposed to do. And we get to honor that, but we've been not honoring this. And so that's step 1, 2, and 3, I think, of what's involved in this divine feminine awakening right now is knowing who we are, reclaiming our codes.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I was gonna ask you, I was literally gonna ask you like, okay, what exactly is the archetype of the woman to you? And you just, yeah.
Aren't we
Oh
awesome?
my. Like we are these, and like you're saying, once you know who you are, woman, you are absolutely unstoppable. You are absolutely like life. You are
Mm.
life, you are creation. And the way you put all of that was so beautiful.
Mm.
And it really brings me into the womb because in relationships in life, I feel like this is something you study, right? So it's like the archetype, the chakras, the energy centers. The womb to me feels like one of the most repressed, of course, for the woman. It's like this this spaciousness that we are supposed to literally like fires us up and expands our reality, especially in relationships, especially in our careers and our expression. We ball it up and push it down. And it's so
Mm.
heartbreaking. It's debilitating for the woman. And I've actually been reflecting a lot on this recently. And I'm so, just in love with your words because that is the medicine. It's remembering this divinity and the womb, like when the womb is shut down and like, all of the energy centers, but I don't know, I'm being called towards the womb when the womb is shut down. It's like there's very little life force. It feels like
Mhm.
there's very little
Mhm.
expression, abundance,
Mhm.
wealth. Like we don't feel worthy of any of that.
And
And
all of those all of those, what do I want to say? I guess I'd say energies, life force, worth, relationship, connection, community, money, all of those reside in that space. So it's so beautiful that you articulated it that way. Um, and even our physical anatomy, you know, completely corresponds completely, like your chi, your kidneys, your um, sexual centers, your sexual organs, your reproductive organs, your adrenals, like they're all there. And so they're all connecting, and it does feel like the central motherboard of all of the other um, facets of, our humanity. Everything seems to come from that central system. I just want to reflect that. Thank you for
yeah. Yeah, it's like the root to rise, right? Like that
I
that
like.
motherboard. And then I think that I think that
Mhm.
most people don't even realize how blocked and repressed they truly are. And even connecting with you, like and like I don't mean to like I don't know, I already adore you, so sorry. But yeah, the way you show up, it's so beautiful to see this divinity that can
Mm.
blossom in the body,
Mm.
when we really
Ooh,
honor all
but
of these parts and their
mm.
synchronicity and how, yeah, like in your experience, do you find for the woman that it's the womb and then like maybe the heart that is blocked or
you know, depends on the woman. I'd say we all carry so much history and
Mhm.
residue in our womb spaces. We all carry it for each other. We carry it for the collective, and we carry it for our past lifetimes and for our lineages. So yes, hell yes. If I were to say what's the most chunked up or where's the first place to go, it would be the sacral. I'm not methodical in my work. I let the body tell me what it needs first, but
Mhm.
I do believe that the dumping ground has been the sacral over any other energetic center. And I think that the first place to clear, not the first place, but let's just say the priority, where you'll get the biggest benefit from the clearing will be, yes, addressing the sacral. And I really want to bring up, let me just listen for how this wants to come through. Two things. As we evolve, just simply as time passes, the readiness of that residual material that's ready to go gets more ready to go. So even as we're carrying all of these aspects, not just from this one life or this one, lived experience, it is dislodging and releasing on its own.
Mhm.
Um, because we're vibing up. That's what it is. We individually, collectively, as we increase our vibration, are no longer allowing or an hospitable host for that which is more dense. It just gets shaken off. It can't hang on anymore. There's one more thing that wanted to come through here, which is it'll come, but it was something along the lines of we're doing this for each other right now.
Mhm.
Something along the lines of we are supporting the lightening of the load for each other. And as this is kind of a tangent, but as any one of us clears ourselves, we then have the bandwidth to very much indirectly support the clearing of others. So, you're enjoying our time here together and you can feel my lightness. And I've both come in light, been blessed with a beautiful mother, or chose a beautiful mother who was light, who really helped train me to really, she was just training me um, to choose, I'm not going to say lightness, but optimism, to take a stand for positivity and to really hold it within myself as a practice, and I've been through some shit, and I've spent a shit ton of time and money paying for therapy, but not in the conventional way. I work with a lot of intuitives. I always have at least 2 mentors at any one time. I very much respect the training. So with that, and lots of medicine ceremonies, so much has come off of me that I am very aware that I am able to administer indirectly. It's not a conscious, here, let me help you. It's not that. It's just my vibe is such that it is supporting the attunement, the leveling up, and the cleansing out of others. And some people really can't handle it. It's not fun to be around me at all. I'm too flighty, I'm too loud, I'm too whatever. My voice pitch is off. Like, it is what it is, right? I'm not here to be what I am for everybody. I just get to be in that. But I do want to say that it's this emptying of your own vessel that enables the greater service. And I think that so many of us are getting about the inner work like at warp speed in order to be able to administer, again, indirectly, just by being around other people. You're vibing them up. I'm sure you're having the same experiences. You're so bright. It's so beautiful to be around you. I didn't even realize you were the person administering or hosting this podcast, but you've been on my feed because the Instagrams, they just know, right? Who's connecting to who. We talked in the DMs, but I didn't have a face to go with the name of the podcast. And I keep seeing your stuff and I don't know you. I don't recognize you, but I pause. I'm like, who is this? Let me listen to what she's doing. Good job. Yes, sister. And then when I saw you today, I was like, magic, just magic. But your vibe, it's your vibe, sister. So rock it and just know you can't turn it off. It's just who you are.
Thank you so much. That's so funny. Instagram is kind of wild like that. I've noticed lately they're kind of like pushing I don't know what's yeah.
What else are they manipulating?
Yeah. This is so awesome. Um yeah, it's so beautiful. Oh, the way that we can show up, and all of what you just said is so, so beautiful. I wanted to ask you because you just spoke about your mother, and you don't have to like talk about family if it's not something you're vibing with right now in terms of like this conversation, but I wanted to hear about. Hi, Soul Fam. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Oracle Codex Podcast. I so hope that you are enjoying this episode and conversation with the Oracle. If you would like to stay up to date on the Oracle Codex podcast, I highly encourage you to subscribe on your streaming platform, and as well, you can leave us a big thumbs up, like, or comment down below. If you want to stay up to date with Grace, the host of this podcast, you can find her at creationalcodes.com or on Instagram, Facebook at Grace Crysdale. And without further ado, let's get back into the conversation. With your family, your beautiful family life, you just mentioned your mother and how she was I actually have a similar experience. I grew up with a mother that was Buddhist more than anything, and she was very open-minded, kind of always recommended I meditate, always recommended that I was kind and loving and soft, and she encouraged play. And I feel very blessed to, have had that experience, because I know a lot of my friends um, didn't have that, kind of growing up. So I would love to hear, your okay, what I really want to know, this is kind of like the crux
Yeah.
of it, is so you're growing up, and I'm curious if it's different for you because I know a lot of people have like this kind of breaking point or this kind of unfolding. It might be mine was kind of a forced unfolding, my spiritual awakening. Um, but some people, and maybe this was your experience, is that you kind of were just brought up into it.
Mm.
Your connectivity to source and God and this divine trajectory that you are on. What was your yeah, your bringing up like in that way?
Mm. Okay. I think I get your question. And I would say that no life is smooth all the way. To be just dull as fuck, right? Um, what I can say about my spiritual training is that my mom was a bit of a what do you want to say, renegade. Uh, she both church hopped because she wanted to have a spiritual community for us and didn't want to get stuck in the doctrines and the dogma. But spiritual community meant church, meant religion. So there was that. Um, Separate from that, at home, she is an optimist. She is a trained um, Jedi of positivity for sure. And um, she was always that business owner who hired the woman who was, you know, just shy of her fullest potential, just shy of realizing that she was badass, just shy of feeling the fullness of her capabilities. And so a lot of them would fall down on themselves and leave my mom like, with the ball in her hands, like, Um, and she leaned quite heavily on me as far as her business. So I was her go-to person whenever someone dropped the ball. So there was a tension in our relationship. And I know that as uh souls, we really choose our human vessels as well as our parents and our, circumstances and everything. I came in with a personality complex of positivity, warrior archetype, resilient. And so my mom, and I don't know her archetypes, she's too close, I've never really thought about it. She leaned on me a lot emotionally and psycho emotionally as a really young kid. Like I was 2 and 3 years old, and she would confide in me with her, her pains and her discomforts. And um, so I'm sure it both attuned me to the subtle sensitivities around human emotions and also like steeled me against codependency. It was a lot.
Mm.
Um, what else? She certainly taught me tenacity around hard work and follow through and persistence around just being a worker. And she's an artist and she's a creator. She's a chef. So she's not a businesswoman, but she became an owner of many businesses. And so that was the playing field backdrop to all of that I'm sharing with you. And let me think about my mom and me. A lot of compassion, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of grace. Those were the core themes, I think, that really um, permeated my training with my mom. And that was how she interacted with the world. Beautiful. She's so beautiful. She can see the beauty of anything and anyone, which is just so beautiful. And when you grow up with a mom like that, you've got a little bit of a bullshit meter and a like low tolerance for people taking too much and whatever, right? So there's that. And yeah, so I think that completes the story around my mom. I would say that I never vibed with religion. However, there's an undercurrent to all religions that I do vibe with very much. And so I always said I'm a spiritual person and I'm not religious. And I'd say my awakening and my break point came a couple of times, a few times. One was facing depression as I think it was probably 13, 14, 15. I was at a boarding school. It was a very elite school. I worked really hard to get there, but I hated it. It felt like I was surrounded by soulless kids addicted to Ritalin and like street
Oh,
drugs, you know?
yeah.
And I was all the way across the country. I'm a California girl and I was in Massachusetts. It was just hard. And I wanted to quit and my mom wouldn't let me quit because she was like, you're going to hate me later if you leave this academy and you're not a, graduate, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, fuck that. But anyway, I had to face that head on and like get through
Mm,
depression. Um, didn't get medicated, thank goodness, because I think that would have could have just really muddied the clarity and the inner tenacity that built. Fast forward, medicine, same story. I'm in medical school. I don't think this is for me, but I'm now trained, not a quitter. I don't want to hate myself later. So I go finish it up, get the full MD, but I'm hating life. I'm feeling such a split from my happiness and my fulfillment and my wholeness. My marriage, same story. I'm not a quitter. I stick it out, you know, 21 years, a really long time. And each of these stories is a break point where I finally had to call it. Enough is enough. I'm saving myself. I'm choosing what I want to do. I'm not delaying my gratification. And at each of those major crossroads and decision points, I was met with overflowing abundance, overflowing opportunity, overflowing, not praise, none of that, but inner gratification. I started listening to Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks when I was in medical school. It was like 2007, and it just like completely rocked my world. Now, I'd already had a huge world rocking and Kundalini awakening at age, I think it was 14. I was on the table at some random like crystals expo. I was at, I got to basically just have this huge like deluge of, I don't know what exactly would be happening. But my Kundalini rose and it was right there and it was just out of the blue and I just burst into tears and it was just this huge awakening. Didn't know what to make of it, didn't know what to do with it. So fast forward again, Abraham Hicks just rocked my world, listening to the audios all day, every day, like as much as I could get in. And that again changed everything and caused my whole world to shift. And often a shift looks like catastrophe. That's what happened for me. And again, fast forward when I decided to divorce, I'm taking the hugest leap I've ever taken. I'm leaving everything I know. I have 2 children in tow. This is the highest risk decision I've ever made. And again, the moment I made it, so to speak, I met with, okay, I'm going to be okay. Like not just okay, like this is liberation, this is freedom, this is where it's at. So I think why I'm telling you that long story, and feel free to like totally edit that down. That was so long, is
no, it's
that
great.
I am now steeled and
Mhm.
leathered for big change, for choosing myself, choosing yourself. And I'm really here to stand so loudly and firmly in that for other women that you get to do the scariest thing you could ever do. And it gets to be okay. Actually, it gets to be freaking amazing on the other side. That's the thing. This is a very long journey. If you want to take it to a whole nother analogy, across a desert, you don't know when you're going to reach the end or if you're heading in the right direction. Like, this is where my guideship really comes in. Like, I am taking people on these journeys to what do you want to call it? Salvation? salvation of self. But that's what this is, because we can get mm, so complacent and comfortable in the shackles of luxury. Really, like we think full-time stay-at-home mom is like the most luxurious thing. But what if you have a craft or a gift or a contribution to make, but you're stuck at home taking care of these children? Like, not that that's a bad thing. Some people, absolutely, that's all they need to be doing. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the women who actually are sitting on their hands,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like they're not effective,
Yeah.
because there's still dishes to do. But that's not really what you want to be doing. Get into your gifting. Be about the thing you're here to do. You have a mission and a purpose. Get on it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm here to do.
Oh my gosh, I adore you. Yeah, it's so thank you so much. Don't worry about long stories. I feel like that's where the magic comes in because like we can unfold even more. And yeah, I know so many people are gonna be able to receive codings and healing from that. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Mm, that's good. Yes.
Um, yeah, the I feel like that's so common with the mother and even like the complacency. I love that you bring up that so many people are comfortable being comfortable, and
Hmm.
it's actually a purgatory. It's like a numbing, right? It's like I'm comfortable here. And
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad because I feel like when you feel what's on the other side of that, you know that your abundance, like everybody's mission and divine will, like if they experience that for even a second, even like a few minutes, had an idea that that could genuinely be possible, what they are craving in their soul, there would be no question. There would be no question.
Seriously, sister. I had to light some incense after all that. Whew, whew.
Yeah, we're cracking it open. Yeah, it's I feel like this has a lot to do with the archetype that you work with, the archetype of the woman. It's like all of this stuff gets shut down and repressed, and it's like, okay, well, I've just been here my whole life. This is what I'm used to. There's nothing more than this, maybe.
Exactly. Yes, that's it. That's it. And we're really good at adapting, humans. And we'd
Mhm.
rather stick with the status quo than venture into the unknown. Or at least that's what the brain would have us do. But truly, our thriving comes in expanding, comes in changing, comes in shifting, migrating. Like this is why the seasons change. That's why the cycles are a cycle. They're not just the same mundane thing all day every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I also wanted to touch on, I love that you mentioned the shedding, or you mentioned something like it gets uncomfortable, right? It gets really uncomfortable. And I think it's even funny in the spiritual community. I think people are like, well, if you don't feel good, don't do it. And it's like, well, you're kind of missing like it's gonna be uncomfortable
Yeah.
when you shift and have that sticky icky, like if you're clearing ancestral miasma or ancestral, like all of that traumatization, it's gonna feel really painful for a minute, and then like you mentioned, like that liberation is gonna be like nothing else. It's gonna be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and there's no going back, and
That's
that's
it.
yeah.
And I think if we really want to manipulate the terms here, it does get to feel good even as we are, right, doing the hard work,
Mhm.
because we can sense the greater good, the greater outcome, which is good. Like that's the giant magnet in the background that's really pulling you over here, even as you've got to get through these little things right now, right here, right? What's the giant magnet on the other side, that's really creating the force field to pull you forward?
Mhm.
It's good. You know it's good. You know you want it. That's why you're drawn to it.
Absolutely. Can I ask you, just as you brought that up, I feel like so many people would um be able to receive like what is like when you come to that crux of this is sticky icky, and you mentioned a couple of them of those moments in your life where
Mhm.
it was like, this is so unfulfilling, this is not what I want to do anymore. What is
Mhm.
that moment when you say enough? Is it like, and I'm getting chills as I say this because I feel like it's really, it's source, right? Doing it. But what, like, how do you, as a healer and a medicine woman and
Yeah,
someone choosing their highest embodiment, how do you, like, what do you do in that moment when it's, when you're about to shift?
I think that's a great question. And what I am called to speak to is what I share with any woman going through a major crossroads of, oh my God, is my marriage ending? Because that's one of the most debilitating identity shifting, like, what does it all mean, right? Earth shattering um, crossroads. And what I say is, don't feel the need to act until you feel the need to act. Trust that you can stay here, stay the course, and allow what is uncomfortable to grow in discomfort to your tolerance point. You will reach your threshold. You don't need to rip the band-aid off now, get it over with, make the leap, like all the things. Like this is where over planning can really become a problem.
Mhm.
Don't worry about all the logistics, truly. Like really, really, again, you get to just trust the divine timing of things. Everything orchestrates when you are at your break point. So just rest, stay comfortable, because it isn't comfortable. Being unhappy in your marriage is not comfortable. Stay comfortable as long as you want until your own break point. When you have to call it, you call it. So a lot of us, that helps because a lot of us find ourselves giving ourselves such a hard time, feeling so shameful. Like my husband's cheating on me and I don't want to leave him. What is wrong with me? Right.
Mhm.
And the answer is you're still allowing all the rest of you to catch up to this like bifurcation that's happening. There's a split happening and you want to get all the way on board. You don't
Yeah.
want to do it while you're here. Because what about all this part of you? Right. So give yourself all the time you need. And Esther Hicks would always say, don't worry, it'll get bigger. Your little problem now will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you have to do something about it, until you want to do something about it, until the other side looks way better than this. So it's okay. Just give yourself your grace. That's what I say, really. And then if it's something that and now I'm switching gears, if it's something that like I have to do, like for instance, finishing medical school, like I was done after the first year, you guys. I was like looking around the auditorium, and this was a great school, hundreds of people in the auditorium. I'm just are you guys drinking this Kool-Aid? Like, really? What? They didn't talk about nutrition. They didn't talk about any of the natural medicines we have available for this one thing. We didn't talk about the spiritual origins or solutions of this. We didn't talk about the person's belief system and how that could possibly have had a part in getting them here and or getting them out of here. Like, what is this? We're missing so many fundamental pieces, right? And I was just like, and everybody else was just like,
Oh my
anyway,
goodness. Yeah.
I knew I had to finish. I wanted to get the goddamn MD. So my mom had this great exercise again. She's just such a Jedi. Like I'm totally going to call her after this. Thank you for this podcast. And she had me do this exercise that she also had me do while I was in boarding school at Andover. And it was to picture myself just dropping it all right here, right now. And she'd paint this picture like you're in the snow. Of course, she's in like balmy California. And she's like, you're in the snow. You just drop your stethoscope in the snow and just like stomp it into the snow and turn around and keep walking, right? And like
Oh,
she walked me through this visualization and it was brilliant because it got all my cells to try on that what if scenario. And we
mhm.
were just done, just done, right? extra emphasis, right? And it was so healing for me to do that. It refueled me and gave me what I needed to finish. You know, it was good. So when the time is right to play that game, I say do it. When the time is right to give yourself grace, I say do it. You know, we get to have our full human experience here. Our concept of time, you know, that we've got this like 80-year, 90-year lifetime is quite trite compared to the soul's experience, which is effectively body hopping
Yeah.
over a very wide swath of time. And that's just in the human form. Like, we're not talking about the other dimensional aspects of ourselves that are like doing so many other things, right?
Yeah.
Give yourself that 6 month, 9 month, 2 year grace period to really get sick of your fucking stupid ass awful marriage.
Mhm,
You know what I
mhm.
mean? Give yourself time. And then when you're done, you're really done and you will look back with no regrets. No regrets. You'll feel 100% on board with your choice. That's the power move. That's it. So if I could sum everything I set up, it's get 100% on board with yourself before you make a physical action. That's the thing in every decision, little, big.
I love that. That's so powerful. I've never heard somebody say it like that, but I wholeheartedly like feel that so deeply. And my guides, it's so funny that you said that because my guides, I've been thinking about this shift in my life. And they were literally saying what you just said. They were like,
Wow.
wait till you know.
Ooh.
Wait till you know, because the mind, like you said, it's planning. It's like, I'm gonna do this right now, and it's my whole life's gonna change, and then this is gonna happen. And we're like, we're not in the present moment. We're not with our body. And I love that you just tie in that the body
Mm.
has to process what we're releasing, what we're coming into, what, because we also have to like let ourselves, because you know how people talk about how like our body will kind of adapt, like we're in an energetic sphere or an energetic level or signature, right? And that's why our reality exists the way it does. So if we're switching realities, our whole body has to change into a
I love
new
that.
reality.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Because
I love
like,
saying that.
yeah, and I think we're so maybe it's yeah, I just love that you brought that up, like looking at everything as energy, as give yourself the space, the time to process. Because we live in a society right now where it's like now, 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 like everything's happening all at once. And even with um, everything going on in the world, everything, the fast pacedness of life, it's we don't have the time to process. And I also love so much that you say, you know, we're in this human experience. Let
Mm.
yourself have this experience. We don't have to be in
Yeah.
our like, you know,
Higher mind all the time.
exactly.
Yeah, we didn't come here for just that, or else we'd be on these other dimensional planes we already are on, only.
Exactly. And there's so much space that is granted when we let ourselves experience that there's no rush.
Mm, I love how you put that. Yeah. And I have to say, in the same way that when you put, cookie dough in the oven and you let it bake, there's a time when it's baked and a time when it's not quite done yet. I
Mhm.
think that by allowing all of your, say, cells to get online with a decision, that's when everything in the environment also is fully baked and can coordinate with you and have this beautiful synchronized experience. Because you know what I mean? Isn't it nice when you leave your, say, house or your marriage or whatever the big decision point is, anew, ready to go, and you're met with all these amazing circumstances, people, coincidences, connections, right? That just fit right in, like job opportunity right after leaving medical school, right? After quitting residency, right then and there in my lap, like within a week. What? Right? Like it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It really is. It's just, we get to be so supported. We're not doing this alone. We're not doing this alone.
Clear it. I love that so much. Before we kind of wrap it up, I would love for you to tell the people listening where they can find you, what your amazing offerings are right now. I know that you have like a free container going on right now for your I
It's
think
a
it's like
mastery. It's like a mastermind.
amazing. It's so
Yeah,
amazing.
sure. I'll talk about that first. So right now, again, it's free for the month of November, but if you're listening to this after, you can check and see if we're still doing it. And the price is the lowest price you'll ever find me live,
Mm.
invested, fully present for. Um, it is for psychically attuned, spiritually directed women. I am accepting a few sacred brothers for the first part of this, not the other part of this as well. But basically, it's a one-way Voxer broadcast. So anything that wants to filter through my channel and be conveyed, especially in the presence of these current events, we're talking about that, right? And so we're creating a place for uncensored connection. So that's the second piece. It's a chat space. We're not using Facebook. It's another
Mm.
platform called Kajabi, which is where all of our website and everything else is held to. So that's what you consider just a share space, a wisdom share space, a solution space. You share your own downloads, etc., which is really great. And then the third component is a monthly Zoom, and that's a psychic cooperative. So this is where we bring our antennas together
Mm.
for the collective rise. So it could be a guided visualization, it could be a healing that we're working on that we all get to benefit from. I think my first one is actually going to be, I just got this morning. It's going to be supporting the dissolution of imprints of chaos from other lifetimes, this lifetime, etc., so that we can release the imprint and the memory of the shudder response to chaos, because that's what we're seeing out in the world right now. And I think it's smacking some memories and causing a lot of psychics and intuitives and women in general, a lot of leaders and healers to just clam up and be quiet and freeze in paralysis, right? When really this is the time for us to actually be casting our awareness and our messages out into the greater community so that we can remind people of who we are and get people back on their own footing, grounded, remembering their choice point in this. We're not victims. We actually get to, when we all stomp our feet and say no, that is when this tremendous, it could even be audible, energetic reverb is going to happen across the planet. And the powers that are trying to be in charge will not be able to hang on. Again, that's a vibe up where they are shaken off energetically. And also it's a grand, like, summoning of ownership, I guess, of our earthly stewardship, I suppose. But somehow that will override them. This is what the intuitives I follow are all downloading. And so it's highly energetic work. We don't need to go to battle to
Mhm.
stop the battle. But we all have to unify for this. And that's part of why everyone in the powers that are trying to separate everybody into these different, groups or whatever, right? If we can get the neighbors to fight, we can get the children to hate their parents, and everyone has to choose a side, then we're happily disempowering everybody. That's the stance. So
Mhm.
anyway,
It's
I
powerful.
digress.
I digress.
So
Anyway.
that's the Divine Woman Mastery group. It's a mastermind. It's a one-way broadcast, all of the above. And you can find me on Instagram at Amron Bevels, MD. You can also find me on my website, amronbevels.com, because who knows how long social media is going to be cooperating with people like me. So amronbevels.com for sure. And then amronbevels@gmail.com. And it's spelled BEV as in Victor, ELS. My last name. Amron, AMRON, is my first name.
Splendid. I love that little transmission you just threw in there about the feet stomping. That's, yeah. So I felt that in my bones. It's so
Mhm.
true. So I actually joined, so I'm gonna try to attend, yeah, the our psychic antennas all come.
Yes, sister. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Yes.
Thank you.
Grace,
Thank you,
I
love.
want to say thank you for this beautiful space you're holding,
Oh,
this
thank
beautiful temple you're creating. Yes,
thank you.
I see the crystalline architecture of it, and this gets to go out into the ethers just and really defy time and space and get to every heart and ear that is in resonance with what you're putting out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, for speaking with me in the temple. I feel it feels like a temple. It feels like we're in a temple right now, and all of our sisters are with us. And yeah, we're just sharing. And I'm so honored that you are the first interviewee.
I
And
didn't know.
yeah, you're opening up the space, and you're so beautiful and divine and powerful. So it
And
was
I'm
such an
really,
honor to, yeah, have you on with me, sister.
yes, so good.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Oracle Codex Podcast. It means so much that you're here listening to the Oracle speak and share their wisdom and enter the temple space. If you'd like to stay up to date on this podcast, please subscribe on your streaming platform. Please give us a big like. And if you have any opinions, questions, concerns, or love to share, please comment it below. If you want to find Grace, the host of this podcast, you can find her on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and at her website, creationalcodes.com. Thank you so much again for being here, and we will see you next time.